I'm Nolan. That's Anna Clara, that's Ellie, and that's Taylor. We're Team Nate, and we did ours on the effectiveness of a stable home. So when you look up the definition of a home, the first sentence states that home is the place where one lives permanently, especially as a member of a family or a household. The key word here is permanently. In Matthew Desmond's Evicted, nothing about home is permanent for the families. Evicted takes place in Milwaukee during a housing crisis. Desmond uses examples of families who live in unstable housing who face or have faced eviction to show the negative effects it can have on a person. The most common downfalls are poverty, drug addiction, and most importantly, an unstable education. This one causes a domino effect for lots of people, lots of different people, and causes people to struggle and more struggles in the future. Evicted was written by Matthew Desmond.
Okay, just start the sentence over.
Evicted, written by Matthew Desmond, uses real-life families to show readers just how important a stable home can be.
Okay, so to begin our project, you first have to understand how a home makes you feel and how it may feel to the other people who are in poverty. So we asked each other to describe how our homes make us feel and also what makes a place our home. In my opinion, my home is a place where I feel safe and comforted, and I've never lived by myself, so for me a home is somewhere where other people live in it with me. And it also has to be a place where I can sleep and eat and go to after I'm done doing my daily activities.
For me, home's where I kind of feel loved and safe. I like going home. My dogs don't know it's me, getting there, and they'll see me start barking and want to see me and get excited when they figure out it's me. It makes me glad to be home again, feel loved. I like going home because my bed's a whole lot better, sleep good, eat good, don't have to shower with shower shoes. Everything's great. Just it's a nice place to be.
My home is a place where I feel accepted and welcome with open arms. I feel like home doesn't have to be a physical place. It's more the feeling of comfort and relaxation. But it is also still a place where I can go and spend quality time with my family, whether we have family dinner or a family movie night.
For me, home means wherever my family and friends are. Wherever I'm around my family is where I feel most at home. Another way that I feel at home is when I'm doing my daily routine and around all my friends and the people that I love.
All of our opinions are very positive, and we do not often think of how it may be for families like the ones in the story. Desmond's idea of a home comes to life when he states, "The wellspring of personhood where someone's life can either blossom or wither on the vine. Without a stable home life, someone is statistically less likely to pursue higher education, maintain steady employment, and devote enough time to their children. Similarly, children who live in unstable homes tend to do poorly in school, have developmental or emotional problems, and become involved in gangs and criminal activity. Home in this context isn't just a roof over your head, but a place of shelter where one can focus on more than just one's basic needs. With a home, the immediate demands of survival give way to the higher order concerns of pursuing an education, finding higher paying jobs, and building a better future for one's children. It should come as no surprise that the homelessness strips one not only of shelter and safety, but of the opportunity to think of anything other than poverty, starvation, and where to find drugs. To further summarize, Desmond gives his definition of a home, the effects of an unstable home for adults, and the effects of an unstable home for children. In the epilogue, Desmond goes even further to state, the home is the center of life, a refuge from the grind of work, pressure of school, menace of the streets, a place to be ourselves. Home is the wellspring of personhood where our identity takes root, where civic life begins. America is supposed to be a place where you can better yourself, your family, and your community. He then asks the questions, do we believe that the right to a decent home is part of what it means to be an American? We decided to ask ourselves whether or not we believe that decent, affordable housing should be a basic right for every American citizen.
Okay, so I feel that it should be easier for families to find decent, affordable housing, but I also believe that people should work and earn the money to pay for it, unless they're physically or mentally unable to. But on the other hand, I feel like there should be more shelters with better conditions for people to live in until they are able to afford actual housing.
I feel like affordable housing should be made more accessible for Americans in poverty. Affordable housing will provide a more stable living environment and help families who may be struggling to pay an expensive rent or loan. I don't think affordable housing is a basic human right just because we live in a capitalist society and you have to work for what's yours, but we can take measures to make housing more affordable for the everyday person.
I think that affordable housing should be accessible for American citizens because it will help the community. Or if it isn't available, then make it so that there are shelters for people to go to get back on their feet and be able to get to a home and be able to have their place. If there are shelters for people to go, it will make it easier for them to find the necessary things to get back on their feet. Yeah. It just also depends on the cost of living in the cities that they're in because that depends on the poverty level that they are in.
I think affordable housing should be a right to all Americans. I think that if you are not in a stable living environment, then you cannot be successful in anything that you do. You can't get a good night's sleep in order to study. You can't get a good education that way.
Okay, so next you have to ask yourself what a stable home actually is. So what makes it stable? In my opinion, for a home to be considered stable, it needs to have a clean space with enough room for everyone who lives there. It needs to have kitchen appliances, usable bathrooms, and some sort of heating and cooling system.
I'd say that a stable home is a place where you always feel welcomed and you'll have a place to sleep or something to eat or really kind of the basic things you need for life there. So that's a home for me.
I said that if you want to have a stable home, you need to have a place where everyone has their own space with everything needed to make them successful. So if there's a student in the house, they need to have their study space to do the work. And then for someone in the family that works, that means having a place to complete their work that they had to take home and complete for the next day. Being in a stable home means having a place that will support you for every task that you need to do to be successful.
I think that a stable home is somewhere where you have your own space, like she said, to do your own thing. If you're a student, in order to have quiet time to study, you need places for everyone to sleep, places for everyone to shower, clean, clean spaces.
Nice clean home.
Okay, so one of the chapters, it's chapter 6, it's called Rat Hole because of the horrible circumstances that the Hinkston family is having to live in. They were living in the definition of an unstable home. They were living without a sink, a bathtub, a toilet, kitchen appliances, and their landlord Sharina refused to get them any of their Sharina refused to get any of their appliances fixed because they hadn't paid the rent yet. And this may seem harsh, but they were already breaking the rules by letting someone else live with them who had already been evicted from one of her properties. And this is one of the reasons why Desmond is so passionate about the housing issues. This is a setting that is not acceptable for anyone to grow up in. It, first of all, is not sanitary, but it can cause all sorts of other problems. And the children would never want to come home, which may result in them joining a gang, skipping school, and possibly getting into drugs.
Thanks for watching, guys.